Que pasa, peeps? You are back here. It's Brian and Jordan on the MMAnonstop.com podcast. MMAnonstop.com, the first place you need to search for news and notes online in the world of MMA. We combine all your news online in one place, so you don't have to go search for it. And today is episode 4. Undefeated mixed martial artist and Bellator welterweight champion, Ben Askren. Now, Ben's not just a one-trick pony. He's actually a two-sport athlete. Stay tuned to the end to find out what other sport Ben dabbles in. MMAnonstop.com. The fight starts here. All right, we are very excited to welcome Bellator welterweight champion Ben Askren to the MMAnonstop.com podcast. Thanks so much, Ben, for taking the time to join us. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Hope you guys are doing good, too.
Yeah, doing very well. And Ben, this is Brian. Just for folks that might have not seen you fight before, just to give a little background to you, you have quite the wrestling pedigree. 45-0 as a junior at University of Missouri, 42-0 as a senior, and now you're 8-0 as a professional mixed martial artist and 5-0 in Bellator. So what's your experience been like so far? Obviously a whole lot of wrestling, but what's your experience been as a mixed martial artist?
A lot of learning. I've really enjoyed the sport of mixed martial arts. Something I've been watching since I was quite a bit younger and kind of always wanted to try, and now I have the chance. So I've just been trying to pick up a lot of the stuff because all I did was wrestle my whole life. So, kind of starting from ground zero in striking and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, did you have a fighter that was, you watched somebody fight or you watched a particular fight and that was the one that really brought you into MMA?
No, I don't really think so. But it was like I just started watching it from, I remember my dad brought home, I think, UFC 1 or UFC 2, and I really enjoyed it. I always, I loved wrestling because it's so combative, and so obviously I kind of took to it. And then when I was in college, it kind of made that resurgence after the dark days, I guess.
Sure.
And I saw a lot of people I knew from either college wrestling, and then as I got a little older, people I knew as my friends from wrestling doing it. So I'm like, well, obviously it won't be that hard for me to get in there and mix it up so they can do it.
Yeah, so you made the move from wrestling to MMA, and now you're making a move to go train with Duke Roufus in Milwaukee. What prompted that move for you?
Quite a few things, but I think me and my wife just decided it was time for me to buckle down because I've never really been a full-time mixed martial artist, and I've had quite a bit of success so far. So and we just figured, well, let's buckle down now and see what I can do in mixed martial arts. And I just know Duke, and I think he's a great coach. And I figured it was the right place to do it.
What about Duke did you like and wanted to, kind of move your family to Milwaukee from Phoenix?
Yeah. Well, I'm from Milwaukee originally, so it's kind of like coming home a little bit. But as far as Duke, I think he brings a lot to the table. Number one, he's got a great academy and school. So he's got a lot of good fighters coming through there constantly. And number two, he's a great striker and great striking coach. He's developed, Anthony Pettis is obviously one of the most explosive strikers in MMA. And so Pat Barry, Alan Belcher, guys that he trains, they all tend to be really good strikers. And then thirdly, he's really open-minded. So he's not like, you're going to stand up and bang. He flat out knows that my wrestling is better than everyone. So he's like, I'm going to teach you how to make your strikes help you wrestle it. And so he's very progressive in that manner, where a lot of other coaches are kind of stubborn.
That's good. It sounds like it's going to be a good compliment to your wrestling skills by going and training with Duke.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, great. Well, let's jump into a little bit about Bellator. As we know, you're the Bellator welterweight champion, and you have a match coming up against Jay Haran sometime in the fall. But we watched that season 4 welterweight tournament championship. What did you think of that fight against him and Rick Hahn?
Yeah, I thought it was a very close fight. I really thought I would have marked it 29-28 for Rick Hahn, as I think a lot of people would have. For me, though, I would rather fight Jay Haran. Well, I guess because he's not as tough, and also just because his demeanor bugs me a little more. I actually enjoyed Rick Hahn's demeanor, and he's a fellow Olympic athlete like myself, and so I kind of enjoyed watching him.
What do you think about that style of Jay's that matches up well with yours?
Well, I think just like anyone else I've faced, he can't stop my wrestling, and he won't be able to get off his back or submit me off his back. So, I think it's a fairly easy fight for me to win.
Well, speaking of winning the fight, you mentioned that you're looking forward also to being able to talk a little trash with him leading up to this. And he told MMA Weekly, he said, he's a great wrestler, but that's about it. How do you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I started talking trash with him, but then I kind of just realized how delusional he was when he was talking about how he won his semifinal and final fights easy, and anyone who watched those two fights knows it was far from easy wins for him. So it's hard to talk some sense into a delusional person.
All right, you are listening to Bellator welterweight champion Ben Askren on the MMAnonstop.com podcast. All right, so Ben, you were Brian talked about your credentials in college, and you were a two-time NCAA division champion. You wrestled the Olympics, and now you found some success in MMA. Most fighters, and I've heard you say that you want to be the best in the world, but what are some of your goals you have in MMA besides that?
Besides that?
Yeah. Do you want to fight or?
Nothing. That's pretty much it.
Are there people that you have that you want to fight that you think that, hey, I match up with well, and
No, I just want to be the best. I want to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. That's really important to me. I want to be very, very good at that. I want to be a high-level black belt in jiu-jitsu. Someone who can really compete on the world level. Because once I figure I'm done with MMA, I'll probably still do that. But no, nothing really driving me. No desire besides to be the best in the world. But that's really enough.
Right on. I've heard you mention before that and I don't know if it ruffled any feathers this week, but that a move to the UFC it's inevitable for you. And you won the Bellator tournament, you've won a Bellator championship, you're defending it this fall. What kind of timetable do you see to make that transition to maybe Zuffa and the UFC?
Well, I think under contract I still got quite a bit of time with Bellator. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 fights or something like that. And Bellator and Bjorn, they weren't happy with me for my comments, but he realizes that part of what's so appealing about me is I say exactly what I feel, and someone asks me the question, I'm not going to hold back. And I told him I wish Bellator all this successful, and I hope somehow, some way, Bellator becomes the number 1 promotion in the world. But at this point, UFC was where it's at. So I love fighting in Bellator. I like the challenges they presented for me, and I'm happy where I'm at now.
Yeah, so you talked a little bit more about when it comes to ruffling feathers, mixing that with the UFC. There has been a little bit of back and forth between you and Anthony Johnson. You're talking about fighters making weight and mentioned him as an example of somebody who had a difficult time making weight. Did you get a chance to watch his interview where he responded to that? Yeah,
it was nonsense. I mean, these guys, he takes no personal responsibility. I simply said, someone asked me a question about making weight, and I said fighters who don't make weight are embarrassing, especially when they either miss it by a lot or miss it more than one time. I just think that's ridiculous and childish, and he took offense to my statements, but I don't see why he should. They're true. And if he wants to fight me over it, then he really needs to look at himself and say, I'm the one who made the mistake. Ben Askren didn't make me miss weight. I made me miss weight. That being said, if he steps in my path sometime, I'll have to dismiss of him. But no, I have nothing personal against him, no vendetta or anything.
Have you ever had any issues, making weight yourself?
No, I can't say. I missed one time in the 9th grade. It was an off-season tournament, and they were awkward weights because it was an AA tournament. And so I thought I could make some weight. I started going down, and then 2 days before, I said, there's no way I'm going to make that weight. I don't know what I was thinking. I went back up, but I was 14 years old at that time. I've never missed a weight. And that time I didn't even try. I didn't even attempt it. And if I had attempted, I probably would have made it. That's the kind of person I am. I believe in discipline and responsibility. But no, I've never missed it, and I've had some very, very difficult cuts. 163 for the Olympics for me was extremely tough, and but it's just a commitment you make. It's a discipline and responsibility thing, and those same things, same discipline that you encounter making weights can be what makes you successful in fighting. And you'll see that when I storm those people up to the top.
Definitely. We mentioned that you're fighting, Jay Heron for the title, and I've heard people talk about fall. Have you heard anything from Bellator about, kind of specifically when that fight's going to happen?
Yeah, I think the next season starts in early September, and so the first 4 weeks are usually the tournament bouts. So I believe it's going to be sometime in early October, hopefully.
So another thing that's pretty interesting that doesn't involve any kind of weight cuts is that I hear you're a pretty decent disc golfer.
Yeah, Yeah, I actually got sponsored by Discraft. They make some awesome discs, and they just sent me a bunch, so I'm freaking pumped. Me and my wife I'm conning her into playing 2 courses a day with me from Phoenix to Milwaukee. And then June 10th through 12th, I got the Amateur Nationals in Michigan.
How is the disc golf scene in Milwaukee?
Milwaukee's good. Wisconsin's got tons of courses. It's really, really popular in Wisconsin. So, I'll get out and get to play a lot when I'm there.
But hey, before we let you go, is any way, how do people follow you online?
Yeah, you can follow me at Twitter. It's just @BenAskren. Or follow me on my Facebook fan page. It's got 1,000 followers. I'm pumped about that.
Right on.
And then thank my sponsors, Cage Hero, Cage Fighter, and Everlast. They treat me real nice.
Well, right on. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time today, and good luck. Good luck this fall, but more closely, good luck in June in the Amateur Championships.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks for joining us today on the MMAnonstop.com podcast. MMAnonstop.com, the first place for news and notes online. MMAnonstop.com, the fight starts here.